at practice. Everybody getting into the act.
Durant fires for three.
Got it! Got it! Here's Thompson for three.
Big shot by Steph Curry.
Spurs are teetering on the edge of a rebuild, depending on how Kawhi Leonard's situation plays out. He's reportedly expressed interest in playing elsewhere. This week, Pop met with him in California. Still no resolution, and a huge extension is hanging out there to be offered and perhaps accepted or rejected. Best guess here. What's going to happen in San Antonio this summer?
Best guess is at some point this summer they trade Kawhi Leonard somewhere not in LA. I think that's where Kawhi wants to go. I think because he's bucking the Spur way, that they will definitely not send him there. I think Pop is very stubborn in that fashion. That I'm not going to give in to what you want. We might trade you, but we're going to get the best bang for our buck, and we're going to send you somewhere outside of the Western Conference if possible. If he turns down that $219 million extension, there's no way they can bring him back.
Right.
I mean, at that point, you know you risk possibly losing him for nothing if you go into the season with him on your roster. And teams know as you get closer to the trade deadline, hey, they're going to be desperate to trade Kawhi Leonard at that point, so you start getting pennies on the dollar. So I don't think he'll be part of this team. I think they'll trade him because I don't think he wants to come back. I think those bridges have been burned with the way things have been handled.
Coach, I know you weren't there, obviously, but take me inside that sort of conversation between a coach and a star player trying to gauge where he is in terms of his interest in your team, his commitment.
This, I think, has to be an honest eye-to-eye conversation between the two. It's not like they're strangers and haven't been together through many games, many very important moments. And now, all of a sudden, when the relationship gets strained like this, nothing more than just being honest and laying it on the table. And they could help each other if you stop and think about it. If you know that he no longer wants to be there and he wants to be somewhere else, well, how much can you get for him? And it's a sad parting of a very terrific player that was developed in the Spurs system. But if it's time to go, get back as much as you can and move on from there.
Yeah, there's no question that this is a crossroads summer for the San Antonio Spurs. We all thought that when Tim Duncan walked away, they would have to make this kind of franchise-altering decision. I could have never imagined Kawhi Leonard and the Spurs running afoul of each other. It just doesn't make sense. He seemed like a guy who was tailor-made for that Spurs culture. I will say this. If I'm the Spurs, I am playing the extremely long game with Kawhi. I'm not trading him this summer. I'm making this thing drag out until February and trying to do whatever I can to change his mind and convince him that the nucleus that he needs to be at the center of going forward is DeJounte Murray and some of these other young guys as we build our own powerhouse down here in South Texas. There's no way I'm going to trade him west. And absolutely no way I'm going to trade him before I absolutely have to if I'm the Spurs.
But will the same value be there later on?
I'm going to take that risk.
You're not worried about losing?
I am.
Losing for nothing?
I'm 100% worried about all of it, but I'm willing to risk that if I'm the Spurs because I don't know when I'm going to get another Kawhi Leonard to come through my organization.
Wait, that's why you possibly trade. If you get a good deal, you can get somebody that might be the next.
Come on, Brendan. When's the last time you traded away a guy like this and got back something that was the equivalent?
Last summer, Paul George, Victor Oladipo.
We don't know that. We don't know that for sure. We don't know if that's something that you can.
Well, I can tell you
hold
we don't
up.
know if that lasts.
Victor Oladipo had we don't think it's
one
going to last?
season. We got one season of Victor Oladipo All-Star.
I bet you then it's going to last. I believe in Victor Oladipo.
Well, I like to eat, so get your money.
All right.
This went an altogether different place.
Yes, it did.
You know, it's interesting the point you made about waiting to make a deal. They may have to wait to make a deal. And the reason is Kawhi may have to prove that he's healthy.
Right.
And I think if they're going to get maximum value, to Coach's point, they may actually get it when more teams see he's healthy and would be willing to part with the kind of asset value it would take to pry him out of San Antonio. Until you see him be healthy, you're going to be very reluctant to take him and know that you're going to be on the hook for $200 million moving forward because you haven't seen him be right, and he didn't have an injury that was surgically repaired. And those things, you never really know how it's going to come together. Tony Parker had surgery. He came back much sooner. So I think it may actually be a function of getting the best deal that they have to wait. But I think what's really interesting about it is in so doing, Kawhi may learn, you know what, I really like playing with Lonnie Walker and DeJounte Murray. These kids are young and athletic. There is some upside here. I do have a future. Because he's still really young, Kawhi.
Right.
He's just 26, I believe. And that's a huge advantage when you've got a kid that's at that level of his prime versus somebody who's more advanced looking for a bigger deal. they actually have a chance to convince him he can grow with these kids. So it'll be fascinating.
And in the meantime, the Spurs are faced with a situation where they're offering a $219 million extension to a guy who couldn't play for them last year. How terrifying is that?